So we're talking about Russia's invasion of Ukraine and especially the economical spin-offs from this invasion. I'm talking to Dr. Roelof Botha. He's the economical advisor for the Optimum Group. And Roelof, serious economical spin-offs in Russia due to the invasion in Ukraine.
Yes, Isaac, certainly. I mean, the consequences are unbelievable. Nowhere in the history of the world, to the best of my knowledge, certainly not the modern history of the world, have there been so many sanctions simultaneously covering virtually every aspect of economic and financial arrangements imposed on a country as we see right now. I've been informed that Visa and MasterCard are withdrawing. The fact that Russian banks are not allowed to use the SWIFT system anymore. This is unbelievable stuff. The transport disruption, the logistical disruptions. There will be hunger in Ukraine, obviously, but there will be hunger in Russia. And I do not think this is going to be palatable for the average Russian citizen. I've got no doubt in my mind that Vladimir Putin is going to experience incredible resistance from within his own country because of this unilateral and unwarranted and mindless act of military aggression towards a democratic country that was on the verge of becoming a member of the European Union. It has profound implications for Russia. Obviously, the Russian economy will probably take 2 decades to recover from what happened in the space of 12 days.
They're talking about queues of Russians standing in front of ATMs, withdrawing all their money, and the interest rate that's been doubled to 20%. What impact does things like that in the question of a week have?
It is frightening. I mean, I would still rather prefer to be a Russian than a Ukrainian at this point in time, but it's going to be much better for them. At some point in time, there won't be any food left in the stores. At some point in time, there won't be any money. The money will be worthless. It will be like the Zim dollar. He has destroyed that currency. The interest rate increased from 9.5% to 20%. That's just the start. These sanctions are really, they are killing that economy. What scares me especially, and tells you something about the character of this Russian leader, is that he continues to threaten nuclear war. This is very, very scary. But for the average Russian standard of living has now, in the space, as you said, of a little bit more than a week, has just declined beyond all comprehension. They will within weeks from now be classified as a poor country,
But Roelof, surely there must be global consequences as well.
Well, absolutely, and there South Africa, unfortunately, will feel a bit of the pinch because of the high oil prices. We're going to have to look for markets for some of our pears, our citrus and our wine. 2% of our wine goes to Russia. Fortunately, we are benefiting already from the spike in commodity prices, because many of our export products from South Africa have benefited from the spike in export prices. We can at least export the stuff. They cannot anymore. So shortages is not good for anybody, but the biggest pinch we will feel is in the higher fuel prices, petrol and diesel. It's unavoidable, at least for the next month, maybe even 2 months. The average South African is going to have to pay a little bit more for petrol and diesel, but at least we are in a position where we are a huge net exporter of food, not only agriculture, but processed food. We have a very, very stable currency. Our currency, as a matter of fact, since April 2020 until today, is the strongest currency against the United States dollar of any currency in the world. So South Africa is in a very, very good place, not only geographically, but our economy is sound, our fiscal metrics have improved. So we will be relatively unscathed. My sympathy is with Eastern European countries and, to a lesser extent, Western Europe, because their stock markets are suffering and their currencies are under pressure.
Let's look at our relationship with Russia as part of the BRICS group. How can that affect us?
Well, I think I'm talking on behalf of the overwhelming majority of South Africans if I say that I am disappointed and embarrassed by our decision in the United Nations to sort of remain neutral. If you look at the words of the late Archbishop Desmond Tutu, he said that in a vote like this, if you are neutral, you are actually siding with the oppressor. And that is such a huge embarrassment. As far as I'm concerned, there never was a good reason for South Africa to become part of BRIC, and then it became BRICS. And there's a very good reason now to get out of BRICS, because we have very little in common with Brazil, economically, culturally, language-wise. We don't play as good, well, soccer as well as they do, and they certainly won't beat the Springboks ever. There's no particular reason for South Africa to be part of, a bloc, a sort of economic bloc with Brazil. We would have had fantastic relations with India anyway, because we have historic ties to India. We don't need BRICS to have relations with India. And the other two partners, Russia and China, two countries that are guilty permanently of gross human rights violations, whereas we have a constitution which resembles the UN Charter on Human Rights. What the hell are we doing in BRICS? If I were president of South Africa, I would get out of BRICS immediately.